is Lena KrupinA, and today in the video we will talk about the Asian gymnastics. Since the tournament took place a long time ago, and only now I got my hands on the video from the tournament, I decided not to only talk about the results, but also make a selection of interesting leotards. And also in connection with the events in the world of rhythmic gymnastics, and us hearing more than once from Irina Viner that Russia plans moving to Asia, let's discuss this moment. It seems to me that it is now as relevant as possible. Well, before starting the video, do not forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Well, since YouTube is not monetized now in Russia, now it is especially important for me if you can support me using the links in the description. Thank you very much in advance. Well, if you want to be the first to know about the news from the world of gymnastics, then be sure to subscribe to the Telegram channel. News is published there every day. From June 23rd to June 26th, the Asian Championship was held in Pattaya. It became a qualifier for the World Championship as well as a Continental Championship for this year. As a result of the tournament, 5 countries received quotes for 2 or 3 gymnasts at their decision, and 7 countries received quotes or 1 gymnast for the World Championship. Medals were played in the all-around and in the finals of individual events. I think it's interesting here to look at the gymnasts through the prism of how we, Russian gymnasts, might look among such competitors. So put this thought into your head and let's see how the all-around ended in the Asian Championship. So the gymnast of Uzbekistan, Takmina Ikramova, won the gold medal with a very large margin from the second place and scored 127 and 6/10 for 4 routines. If you remember the last tournament with the participation of Russians, then Lala Kramarenko scored 143 points for 4 routines. So of course it's worth remembering that the competitions are different and the judges are different, and in general it's not a very smart thing to compare such tournaments, but I want to think about it. So it turns out that if the Russian team with all the leaders fights with the leaders of Asia, then I think one can hardly expect growth from the Russian team, and it will be clear in advance from the tournaments that Russia will win. Of course, after some time this moment can be polished and the Asian countries will raise in level, but I think this requires more than one Olympic cycle. In Europe, gymnastics is of course more developed, and even if we cite the last Fidge tournament, where Sofia Raffaeli won gold with 4 exercises, she is much closer to Lala Kramarenko and is only 2 points behind her, which is more like competition. True, the gaps from Sofia are very great, but at least one gymnast in Europe could possibly compete with the leaders of Russia, while in Asia it is still far from that. As an option, it is possible to send Russian gymnasts to other countries and they will represent them on the tournaments. Perhaps the level will rise faster. Well, in my small conclusion, if we compare the leaders of Russia and Europe and Asia, then Russia and Asia will obviously be bored. I'm waiting in the comments for your thoughts on Russia's transition to Asia. Do you think this is right, or is it better to compete with Belarusians as it is? Well, returning to Takmina, she really looks more confident in Asia than others. I really like her execution of performance, and if you constantly follow the tournaments, then you notice that we often talk about her at the world tournaments, and this, in my opinion, is the best indicator that the gymnast is growing. Second place in the all-around was taken by a Japanese gymnast, Kita Sumire, a very interesting gymnast who attracts attention. According to the data, she is very good, and if she trains more in stability, then I think she could certainly compete with the gymnast of Russia. If not in the first numbers, then in the top 10, she could definitely be able to make a rustle. At the world tournaments, by the way, we often also talk about her, and I personally really look forward to her performance at the World Championship. I'm sure she will get into many selections with summing up the results of the year. The third place was taken by Zhao Yating, a Chinese gymnast. It's nice that at such a championship we can talk in more detail about the individual gymnast of China. After all, the group gymnasts somehow break into the world arena more clearly. The individual gymnasts still can't climb so high in the World Cups, but it's possibly just the beginning of their journey. I think everyone already knows that at the moment Anastasia Bliznyuk is coaching the Chinese national team. And the Ukrainian gymnast Alyona Dyachenko has been educating individual gymnasts in China for more than a year. So the girls have opportunities, the knowledge and experience from other athletes too. We just have to wait, and maybe Chinese women will also compete with Russian gymnasts if they are pushed together. The fourth place was taken by Aybata Yertakizhi, a gymnast of Kazakhstan. For her, the all-around ended in an insulting loss, since she had an identical score with the third place. But the gymnast of China outperformed her in terms of execution, and Aybata was left without an all-around medal. But I must say this gymnast is still quite young, but I think she is steadily increasing her momentum in world rankings. It will be interesting to follow her at the championship. Most likely she will perform with 4 participants there. Fifth place was taken by Sabina Tekshimbayeva, another gymnast from Uzbekistan. I'm still pleased to see Sabina performing, but I have a feeling that with the new rules, she was never able to gain the form she has been before the Olympics. Perhaps we don't know much and she is worried by injuries. Perhaps the young gymnasts are advancing, but so far, she has not been declared at the World Championship, even with 5th place at the Asian Championship. The 6th place was taken by Wang Zilu, another Chinese gymnast. We probably rarely touch on this gymnast in discussions, although the girl is not the last number in the Chinese team. So she performed at the Junior World Championship and last year also took part in the World Championship. And in 2017, she even won a gold medal at the Russian-Chinese Games in the finals of individual events. Unfortunately, this year she did not get into the team for the World Championship, but the result at the Asian Championship is not bad for me. I don't know what is the reason for which others are sent to the Worlds, but as far as I remember, at the Olympics in China, everything is declared at the domestic championships and according to the sports principle, so I'll assume that she didn't manage to show her maximum at the selection before the World Championship. Well, the top 7 was closed by a very well-known gymnast for us, Elzhana Tanieva, who is loved by many. Unfortunately, in the all-around, she did not succeed with hoop, which dragged her so far. Visually, according to Elzhana's talent and performance, she can obviously do much more. In the finals of individual events, in the hoop, Takmina Ikramova won gold, Kita Sumirai won silver, and Zhao Yating won bronze. In the final with ball, Takmina Ikramova again won gold, another Uzbek gymnast Sabina Tekshimbayeva won silver, and Kita Sumirai won bronze. In the final with clubs, Takmina Ikramova again did not lose the gold to anyone. Elzhana Tanieva became the second, and Kita Sumirai won the bronze. The ribbon final was won by Elzhana Tanieva, Takmina Ikramova was second, and Zhao Yating won the bronze medal. In group exercises, I think there's nothing surprising here. The team of Uzbekistan became the winners in the all-around, even after changing the composition and the coach. The gymnasts still are of a high level. The only one who can compete with them is the Japanese team when they do not make losses. But recently they have suffered from this in the all-round. So here they got only second. Well, the team of Kazakhstan won bronze, which by the way performed very well this season. The Chinese team, which became the fourth, also unexpectedly and loudly burst into the elite of world gymnastics. Not everything turned out at the Asian Championship, but I'm sure they will show better results in the world. In the finals with hoop, the team of Kazakhstan won gold, Uzbekistan won silver, and Japan won bronze. In the final with balls and ribbons, Uzbekistan won gold, Japan won silver, and China won bronze. Well, now let's talk about something interesting. In general, those who have been watching me for a long time probably noticed that I really like to watch gymnasts from other countries. I really like to see something unusual. I like to take note of things that other countries, other nationalities, and other schools of gymnastics have to show. It seems to me that it is much more interesting to watch such different rhythmic gymnastics. That's when everyone looks the same under a carbon copy. Therefore, I always watch the Pan American and Asian Championships with particular pleasure. For the rest, there are often problems with the broadcasts, so one day I hope I will watch the African gymnasts. Well, I made a small selection of leotards from this tournament, but I'll tell you the truth about only some of them because the broadcast of the second day of the Asian Championship is not available, and I didn't find any recordings anywhere. But I think this will be enough to feel the Asian culture. India is a very unique country, and by many criteria, it can be said that this is only India. And the leotard of the gymnasts here are very unusual, and it seems to me that when you look at the gymnast, it is immediately clear that this is an Indian gymnast. Well, I think they have leotards which look more like dresses. An example could be a gymnast Kaur Balavel. Another Indian gymnast, Sanyukta Kile, has a very interesting leotard for both in color and style, and it's especially cool when gymnasts take their national songs for the performances. But in general, I really like this in Europe too. The gymnasts of Singapore are close to the European in leotards, and for us they probably look quite similar. But Chinese gymnasts, despite the fact that they work with specialists from Europe, do not lose their style, and often in their costumes you can see something interesting, particularly only to them. Gymnast Kim Chae-woon from Korea, although a very frequent guest at world tournaments, her leotards are still interesting. So I especially like the color. You don't often see this at tournaments. And by the way, I noticed that the fringy in Europe is gradually moving away, and you will see it less and less on leotards. But here at the Asian Championship, it is a very common piece of fashion. Write in the comments what leotards which were unusual and which ones you like the most. Well, that's it for today. I will see you all in the next video, and remember that I love you all very much, and bye bye.